Anthony, yay! Say hello. Come and
Hello.
tell the world
Thanks for
about
having
you.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's going to be different about today, other than translation in Portuguese, German, and Spanish for the first time? How cool is that? Is Jesse Pineda, our expert interview and many other things, is going to be interviewing Anthony on the myths around entities. And I'm going to be running the SOP energy in the background and see what else is possible. See what else is
How does
possible.
it get better? Now we're really going to stir the pot up.
Right? Exactly.
How does it get better?
Thank you, Cassandra. First time coming to open up accessmedia.live's events for us. So grateful for your enthusiasm, because you guys, who wants to like follow anybody that's not enthusiastic, right? So everybody who wants some more enthusiasm, you know, might listen to what Anthony has, his content he's going through today around entities, because there's no real reason not to be enthusiastic. So Anthony and Jesse, I'd like to hand the mic over to you. And how much better does it get?
Cool. How does it get better?
Great.
Yeah, anything y'all could get out of the SOP session from Matt, what would that be? Just tap into that energy so he can access that energy for you and facilitate whatever change that you're looking to create in your life and maybe in your body. Yay. All right. Oh, my favorite number is 69. Got 69 people on the call. Oh, 70. There we go. Of course, that's the number I noticed, though. But it's only because that's the year I was born. So I wasn't being perverted.
Or anything like that.
No.
Anthony, it's great having you here. Thank you, Matt, for the space. And thank you all for joining us in this conversation about the myths around entities, right? I'm so ready. Did you see my t-shirt?
No, I can't. You have to lower it. You got to lower it.
No, it says, who you gonna call?
Stand up. I can't see it. I can't see it.
It says, who are you gonna call? It's the Mythbusters.
Show it.
Okay. Ghostbusters is gonna be the Mythbusters.
It's sitting below the screen. That's why I can't see it.
Okay. So it is really great having this conversation with you, having this time to have this conversation with you. There's a lot of myths going around entities, right? And I think that it would be a great invitation for everyone listening now or later. What are the possibilities actually in us relating or engaging with entities? What we could receive from them if we were to put aside all of the myths around them, right? And so, who better than an expert on entities, Dr. Anthony Mattis?
I don't know if I'm an expert, thank you, but I am a work in progress, and I've had a lot of growth, let's say, in this particular area, and it's transformed my life, both on a personal level and also on an energetic level too. It's just allowed me to take my, SOP sessions to a whole nother level, and the way I facilitate people to a whole nother level. And it is an area that I avoided when I started Access. My point of view, well, one of the myths are that it's only, okay, you have to either 2 points of view. One point of view is this stuff is all bullshit, it's not real, right? Or the other point of view is, well, that's just only for a select few people in the world, those people who see ghosts and hear ghosts, like the psychic mediums, like those kind of people. It's just for them. It can't be for a regular person, right? And that's myth number one, because in the Talk to the Entities, you learn, and I've come to learn and know myself, that everyone has the ability to perceive, know, be, and receive the spirit world. Everyone. And that's what we're trying to get people to with the tools of access consciousness is to get us out of um, thinking, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and to start moving into trusting our own awareness, trusting our own whispers of consciousness. All right. And to get to that space where we start to perceive, know, be, and receive all energies, whether it's things that have to do with our bodies, whether it has the things to do with the future that we'd like to create, whether it has to do with the spirit world. And so that to me, that's one of the first myths that I've learned. And when I first took the entities classes, I wasn't really there for all the right reasons. I was there to get answers. I kind of wanted, like Shannon O'Hara, the creator of Talk to the Entities, I wanted her to talk to um, my dead wife who had committed suicide. She had struggled with bipolar disorder. And, I'm a holistic chiropractor. I've been a holistic chiropractor for since 1999. But for the last 7 years, I've been an Access Conscious facilitator. I closed my chiropractic practice down because these tools work. These tools are life changing, and these tools can, to me, change the face of mental illness on this planet. And you don't have to have mental illness to get benefits from these amazing tools. But for me, that was sort of like part of the motivation that I had, because I wanted answers. But this isn't about getting answers. This is about empowering you to know what you know. But it really helped me to get an awareness around what my late wife was going through. And when you don't have a playground to develop your awareness, we can actually be at the effect of our awareness. Now, a lot of you that are on this call right now, you may already know, like, yeah, I have a lot of entity awareness and it's been tormenting me for years. Okay, great. Well, Talk to the Entities is the right place for you, and the tools of Access Consciousness. And for those of you who are like, well, I don't have a capacity in that area, that's not my thing. Well, that was my point of view too. And what if the melancholia that you've had for years was entity awareness? What if the body pains that you've been having for years was entity awareness? What if it was also awareness of the earth? What if it was also awareness of people with bodies? And so what we try to get people to with the tools of access in general is to use our bodies as an information resource center to give us an awareness of the world around us, both the physical world and the non-physical world. And the Talk to the Entities is actually part of it. Here's myth number 2. And I bring this up because, my daughter goes to a Christian private school. All right. And part of the reason why I sent her there was so that we could have flexibility with having her travel with me from time to time. So when you pay a school a lot of money, they tend to be a little more flexible with you. But anyway, so my daughter's 13 years old now, and some of the parents would actually Facebook stalk me, or they would search me on YouTube, and they saw that I talk to the entities. Now, from a Christian's point of view, like from this mother's point of view, her point of view is that I'm inviting entities and demons in. So she doesn't want her daughter to play with my daughter. She never asked me a question. She automatically went to conclusion of what we do. And if she asked me a simple question, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way, but these are just a set of tools to help people not be at the effect of the spirit world. And quite frankly, it's actually empowered me. And it's also given me a lot of awareness as to what my late wife was going through before she killed herself. Because the day before she killed herself, I asked her, why are you trying to kill yourself? And she's like, I saw a demon. And I'm like, okay, where was the demon? Running around the house? Let's cleanse the house. She's like, no, the demon's inside of me. I'm like, well, how the fuck is that possible? We're like devout Christians, like 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We had the blood of Christ on us. We're supposed to be protected, right? you know, and then before that, we had a guru from India and we did his practices for 2 years. And then before that, we did metaphysical stuff. So as a family, we've been everywhere. So for those of you who have the point of view that if you do learn these tools, that somehow, because it's outside of your box of religion, whatever that religion is, whether you're a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, whatever, they're just tools. We don't take tools away from medical doctors. We don't take tools away from a carpenter. Okay. We don't take, you know, we don't take tools away from engineers. They're just a set of tools so that you're not actually at the effect of the unseen realm. But because there's all these different points of view out there, and basically all these points of view are nothing but boxes, right? So anything that goes outside that box, it's either not real, or you're crazy, or if it's a real religious box, you're opening yourself up to the devil.
Yeah. Thank you
Now,
for my.
I'm sorry, this is a long answer to your question, but I'm hoping
No,
I'm
no, it's great.
demystifying certain things. But, you know, and having the privilege to be able to facilitate classes all over the world. And, you know, I've been in the Middle East a few times, and it's great because, you know, it's like, look, their religion's very different than the Judeo-Christian point of view, right? However, the energy of religion is still the same. The energy of the fear that the religion creates, if you go outside that box, is the same as what it creates for us. Like, oh my God, if I go outside this box, I'm opening myself up to the devil. Myth number 3. And if I open myself up to the entity world, I'm going to get overwhelmed and there's no point of return. I'll never be able to climb out of it. The opposite is true. No, you're going to be stronger. You're going to know how to deal with the entity world. You know, and myth number 4, they're not all bad. Myth number 5, they're not all conscious all of a sudden because they don't have a body anymore. Oops, that kind of goes against the way we were brought up for those of us who went to church, right? Okay, and here's, this is when I had my first, not my first awareness, but my first awareness when it came to life after death, let's just say. And it was the day we buried the children's mother. And this was before I started Access, okay? So I started Access almost a year later. The day we buried her, my sons were 10 and 8, and they actually dug the hole, okay? And then the pastor was like, we buried, you know, we plugged the hole back up and we whatever, put the sign, whatever it is. And he's like, she's rejoicing with the Lord. It's like, it took everything in my power to keep my ass in the seat and not stand up and say, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? No, she's not. She's having an oh shit moment. What the fuck did I do? And I knew it. I knew it. Now, but who feels like the lunatic? Me. Me. So I have this awareness that she's not rejoicing with the Lord. She's having an oh shit moment. What did I do? What did I create in the people that I love's lives? I fucked up. That's what I was aware of, right? But I had nowhere to go with that information. I did not have a playground to develop that awareness that I had. So I felt wrong. I felt like a bad Christian. Because that's what we're taught. When you die, you get to go to heaven and God will forgive you even if you're bad. I'm just generalizing right now, right? So I was like, this is fucking bullshit. But I felt wrong. I felt bad. I felt sad, not only because I was grieving for myself, not only because I was grieving for my children. I felt bad for her because she was feeling sad because her choice didn't necessarily create what she had hoped initially. Eventually it did, but not initially. Okay? And so that's another myth. Just because you die, it doesn't mean you're all of a sudden more conscious. There's this saying, and hopefully it's translatable. You take yourself wherever you go. But we only think of that as like, okay, if I decide to move to Mexico from the United States, my life's gonna all of a sudden become better. No, if I haven't dealt with my issues, if I haven't dealt with my shit, that shit's gonna show up in Mexico. Well, what if the same thing happens when you lose your body? So we actually have an opportunity to facilitate consciousness even for the spirit world. Now, are there demons? Absolutely. Absolutely. Are they more powerful than you? Myth number 6. No, entities and demons are not more powerful than you. Only your point of view that they are, then they'll be more powerful than you. Okay? Here's the problem with religion. And in fact, Gary Douglas, the founder of Accessconsciousness, and I are going to be doing a call in March. It hasn't been posted yet officially, but it's going to be called, Is God in Consciousness or Is Consciousness in God? And I can't wait. And this is a call that I've been personally sitting on for the last 4 years. And I'll be honest with you, I've been too chicken shit to do it. So I called him like, I'm ready to do it, but I don't want to do it alone. Will you do this with me? He's like, sure. You know, but this is about empowering you, not opening up a Pandora's box so you're overwhelmed. The reason why we're overwhelmed with regards to the spirit world is because we don't have a playground to develop and access our awareness and our consciousness without feeling wrong, without feeling guilty, and without feeling fear, because that's what we're taught. That's what's passed down to us from religion and also from this reality. Okay, because in this reality, we have this point of view that if you can't taste it, touch it, smell it, hear it, or feel it, or whatever the senses are, right, then it's not real. It's a lie. It's in your imagination. Or here, take this pill because you're mentally ill. You're not supposed to be having awarenesses of those things. So I knocked out about 6. Please ask me more questions there. Sorry for
No, that was amazing. That was amazing, Anthony. Thank you for this conversation. First of all, because it shows a very different point of view from what we usually have around entities. We think of entities and we think of ghosts, and actually many of my questions were around that, right? About ghosts and about haunted houses and demons and like the myths that we usually hear, right? But what you are showing us is such a different space. Is this idea that people who are having a mental illness may not be having an illness, but maybe actually having contact with more of what they can see or hear or understand. And that is actually a great invitation for people to know that there is more out there, that if they take the time or the chance to actually explore, it could give them a new space of them, not only a new space to play, but a new space in them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do want to emphasize too, and it's not just for people who have been diagnosed with mental illness, you know, like I never was, but I do know I had a lot of awarenesses in my body my whole life. And I always, like when I was younger, especially during my teenage years, I always, well, actually, since I was a little child, and now knowing what I know the whole time it was entity awareness. But I would always feel this like, it was sort of like a low grade chronic depression. Like I never thought about killing myself, but I always felt sad. I felt sad for the world. I felt like everybody was sad around me. And I realized that a lot of it was entities that were sad, that were looking to get my attention. And the reason why I was sad is because I was aware of their sadness. I mean, as a human race globally, we've been really fucking mean to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we still are. I mean, we've been really fucking mean. So there's a lot of fucking entities that, you know, were killed, they were murdered, they died in like traumatic events, you know, like, I mean, it goes on and on since the beginning of time. And war, it's like, so it's like if you're someone who travels a lot, if you go to different countries and your body feels a certain way, or you feel depressed, or you feel like you want to cry, or maybe you feel overwhelmed, that's called awareness. It's called awareness. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just fucking aware. And it's like, so, but yeah, it's not just for, I just want to emphasize, it's not just for people who've been diagnosed with mental illness. This is also for you, those of you who consider yourself normal. This is about like, and if you're in the healing profession, if you want your life to be a lot easier, acquiring these tools can only help your sessions or your therapeutic sessions of whatever it is that you do.
And that is actually one of the misconceptions, right? That only certain people can communicate with entities, and
Right.
that once that you communicate with entities, there's something wrong with you.
Correct. And look, and I'm the one who's like, that's not my gift. That's not my capacity. And I'm still a work in progress with it. I'm still building my muscles up to do it. But I know that when I do, I'm going to give you all one tool, at least one set of tools, because if you want the tools, you got to come to and talk to the entities class. And we are doing one in Puerto Vallarta, right? In the first weekend in April. So I can't wait, right after the choice of possibilities class. But I will tell you, if you are aware of entities, okay, there's basically 4 things you're going to do with them. Clear. And for those of you who've had foundation, you know how to do that part. Then there's communicate. Now, the communication thing is sort of like where you have to have like a more one-on-one conversation with one entity or maybe a small group or whatever. It's more of an intimate conversation. And we teach you how to do that, how to have that dialogue. All right. Receive. Now, the whole receiving thing, that brings up a lot of walls and barriers, you know, because people are like, how can I receive? That goes outside my religion. My religion says I can only receive from the Holy Spirit, or I can only receive from Muhammad or Allah. And if I receive from any energy outside of that, then I'm wrong, basically. All right. The receiving is not just receiving from them. The receiving is also what they would like to receive from you that you can deliver. It's a two-way street, because there are actually entities that do want to contribute to you. And no, they're not evil. And no, you're not making a deal with the devil. Myth number 8. Some people do, though. Some people do contract with demons. They do. Okay? Never a good idea, by the way. I'll say it again. Never a good idea. Never a good idea. It always comes back and bites you in the ass. However, there are entities, there are beings of light that do desire to contribute to you. It's just a matter of us receiving. And that's really what all the tools of access is really designed for us to create for us, is to receive all energies without a point of view. Because if you could receive all energies without a point of view, you have access to create the life that you desire, like that. No problem is ever big enough if you're willing to receive all energies without a point of view.
But there is this myth that if an entity is around you and stays around you, it's because they want to harm you.
Right. Yeah. And that's not true. And some are a pain in the asses. Don't get me wrong. Maybe some of them you killed in another lifetime. And I know that might bring up some red flags for other people too. It did for me. I don't know if I believe in other lifetimes. I'm only me. I am an immortal soul. I'm Anthony forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. Okay, that's fine. Have that point of view. I don't give a shit. The tools will still work. You know, I didn't know what point of view I had by the time I got to Access. I'm like, no, I want to be Anthony forever and ever and ever. You know, but then I was like, I started having awarenesses of other lifetimes. And, you know, I was like, is this my imagination? Even with some of the other modalities I did, I had like past life regression type stuff. I mean, whoop-de-doo-dah, didn't change my life. They were cool experiences. Didn't fucking change my life like I needed to. But Access with the clearing statement and potting and pocking shit, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll clear past lives. Who knows? Who cares? Maybe I had them, maybe I didn't. But you know what? My life started to change. It cleared space. I had more choice. Those things that were holding me in bondage were no longer there energetically. I was like, oh my God, all those things I tried to get over that I couldn't get over with any other fucking modality, including praying, was finally changing. And it was because of the tools. I'm like, maybe this past life thing is a real thing. Maybe I was Susie. Maybe I was a Jesse in another lifetime. Maybe I was a Marco in another lifetime, or a Paolo, or Zimbuka from fucking Africa. Who the fuck knows? But the point of view is that we're infinite beings. We've been and done everything. So why not clear all those lifetimes we made choices? And maybe in those other lifetimes we were evil. And because you're an infinite being, you take your shit into the next lifetime. Oops. And many of us might be doing the healing thing this lifetime to undo the lifetimes we were assholes. So if you don't think you need to clear choices you made in other lifetimes that's impacting you in this lifetime, and you can't figure out why your life's not working, and it may not be because anything you chose in this lifetime, it could be things you chose in another lifetime. And even if you don't believe in that, just fucking clear it anyway. Maybe what do you got to lose? Your life is going to get better. And that was my point of view in the early days of Access. I'm like, fuck it. What do I got to lose? My life sucks right now. I'll clear it. And guess what? Life got better. And I avoided this work, Jesse. I hated it at first. I hated it. I was like, this is bullshit. I'm like, burr, 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 burr. Bullshit, whatever. Everybody's fucking crazy. Even the facilitators are fucking crazy, talking shit and blah, blah, blah. And then it really wasn't until I had to take this class 2 times. The third time, for whatever reasons, because I was asking a question, which is something that we learn to do in Access, is live in and ask the question. I started asking a question. I'm like, what would it take for my energetic sessions to become more potent? What would it take for my facilitation to become more potent? Because I was aware of energies that were going on in people's lives that I wasn't able to quite, that was affecting them in a bad, negative way. And I wasn't able to quite change them with just clearing things. There was something else that needed to occur. I'm like, so what else? What else? And I remember scrolling through Facebook, and I saw how Shannon O'Hara, the creator of Talk to the Entities, was doing a free Talk to the Entities taster. And my first reaction was like, I've already done this class twice. Didn't do anything. And for whatever reason, I like in that taster, it was like I heard it. And then I texted Gary Douglas, the creator of Access Consciousness. I'm like, hey, I'm getting this awareness that I need to like study to talk to the entities again, but I don't really feel like I have the capacity in this area. He goes, yes, you do. I go, no, I don't. He's like, yes, you do. And then I go, no, I don't. And he goes, when did you turn off your capacity? And then something came out of my mouth. I'm like, maybe age 5. And he's like, okay, what happened then? I'm like, well, I used to sleep with my Italian grandmother all the time, from Italy. She came like to the United States. I'm first generation American. My mother and grandmother were Italian refugees, literally. And I was always afraid of the boogeyman. I remember in that moment, I'm like, oh my God, I used to perceive spirits and shit in the atmosphere. And I was fucking scared. And fast forward, that's age 5. I turned it off. I put the blankets over my head. I would hold on to my grandmother. I'd make sure a part of my leg was always touching her body because I was scared. So I remember when I lived in Brooklyn, New York, I'd be in the backseat of a car and I would look into all these buildings that were haunted. And I remember sometimes seeing demons in the fucking window and I was scared. I was like, what the fuck? This is scary, And then I always had so many questions about life after death, and my mother could never answer anything. If anything, it created more fear in my world, not less, And then going to Sunday school, that didn't fucking help anything. It made things even worse. So, like I said, if you don't have a playground to develop your awareness skills, they're going to make you crazy, or at least in fear all the time, right? And so that's what happened. So fast forward, I become a Talk to the Entities facilitator. I got so many great stories, but too long for right now. But I remember facilitating a 3-day body class and an entities class in Italy, right? That's where this DNA, this lifetime is connected to, right? And I couldn't sleep the whole week at all. And I had been to Italy a gazillion times with other access classes, never had a problem sleeping. But this week, I could not fucking go to sleep. And there were moments where I felt like I was having what we would call an anxiety attack. But knowing what I know because of Access, I'm like, oh, fuck, what am I aware of? Oh, shit, I'm aware of portals. Close those. I'm aware of, then I started perceiving the spirits, the same kind of spirits I did when I was 5. And then this demon head showed up. Now, it kept me awake the whole week. Okay. I couldn't sleep, but it was okay. I had so much energy, having a great time facilitating these classes. But I needed to facilitate these 2 classes, the body class and the entity class, in Italy to change those demons that I was aware of when I was a child. These very same demons where long before I started Access, I remember calling my mom and saying, Mom, do you think your side of the family is cursed? And she goes, my brother asked the same question. I go, I feel like there's this oppressive curse, especially on our finances. And it's like a curse. And she's like, yeah. And then I tried to pray. I was in church. I did all the right, pray this, but nothing changed. Still struggling financially. Fast forward 6-7 years later, I'm having this body class in Italy and the entities class in Italy. I'm aware of all these spirits. And I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe this is my imagination, but I'm going to go with it. Fucking just use the tools. And I communicated, received, and actually had to negotiate and cooperate with some of these guys, okay? Because they have choice too. All I know is by the end of the 7 days that I was there, the whole spiritual atmosphere went, and that demon dissolved. And I went, and then I could perceive the spirits rejoicing. And I remember being all fucking significant, like a telenovela, like, Gary, I call up Gary, I think I just cleared generational curses and da-da-da-da-da-da. And he's just chewing whatever he was eating on the other end of the phone. And he's not like buying into my significance of it at all. And I'm like, aren't you going to say anything? This is a huge breakthrough. He's like, yeah. He's like, cool. Now, what would you like to create now? And I'm like, God damn it. He's not even rejoicing in this thing that has oppressed my family for fucking years and years and years and years and years. And I couldn't change it. And my life changed. My money flows changed after that. It was so crazy. But what it actually created for me, forget about the money. It created this level of awareness that if I'm having like panic or anxiety, I need to say, am I having entity awareness right now? Or if I'm having melancholia, instead of being like, why am I depressed? No, it's like, oh, am I having entity awareness right now? And then I use the tools and it changes in an instant. In an instant. Who the fuck doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? Unless you love your suffering. Unless you love your suffering, fine, keep it. It's fine. It's okay. It's a great way to control people. I did it. Being victim was a great way to victimize people, to get people to do things for you. I didn't know I was doing it until I learned Access. I'm like, wow, I love to play victim. It's a great way to control people. People will give you free money. Anyway, so it like changed my world. So, and again, this is coming, Jesse, from somebody who did not believe that they had a capacity in this area. Do you get what I'm saying? I used to pay people money to do these things for me, and it never changed my life. But when you can do it, when you could use the tools to function from perceiving, knowing, being, receiving, your life will change exponentially. Boom. And what actually happens is you become more potent. I have Christians come up to me all the time. How are you with the Lord? I'm like, I love the Lord more now than ever. Because I say to them, like, he's brought me to these tools. They may not fit the box that you learn shit in, but I don't give a shit because I had a dead wife. I was a widower at 41 years old. I did everything in my power the right way. And I had fucking nothing to show for it. Zero, other than pain and suffering. And aside from that tragedy, my life still sucked. The tragedy was just sort of like fucking icing on the cake. I'm like, how much worse can my fucking life get? You know, I think the only worst thing that could have happened was like if one of my kids died or something. You know what I mean? I'm like, and I don't get it. I remember crying out to God. I'm like, God, for someone who's been trying to seek your face and to have cosmic consciousness, and I did it in all these different ways, I got fucking nothing to show for it. What the fuck? What the fuck? And you got these asshole people over here, they're happier than pig and fucking shit. And they don't do anything about working on themselves. And I'm the one who's fucking struggling. I don't get it. So my exact words to him was like, I'm going outside the box. Fuck this shit. And if I go to hell, so be it. I have a lot of friends with me. That was my point of view. So I would have people come into my chiropractic clinic, Jesse, and they'd be like, 40 years after my wife died, they'd be like, the Lord gave me a vision and he wanted me to see how you're doing. And I'm like, I'm happier than I've ever been. Should I still be suffering? Should I still be struggling? The Lord has led me to these tools and I'm so fucking grateful for it. We are a happy family. Do we still have our struggles? My kids became teenagers eventually. You know how that goes. I don't care what kind of fucking family you come from. Teenagers are teenagers, right? And we've been through this, so they had to go through their shit, but we had tools. At the very least, we had this thing called access bars, which to me, game fucking changer. Every family on planet Earth should have this one tool. Every fucking family, from my point of view.
True. Everything that you're sharing is such a great invitation, Anthony. You mentioned portals, you mentioned demons, you mentioned entities, you mentioned all of these things that one of the myths is actually are more powerful than us. But with the tools, you've been able to change this and to acknowledge that there's nothing that is more powerful than you, and that is a great invitation. Who wouldn't want that?
Yes, bingo. Thank you for bringing that up because, that's one of the reasons why, the kid's mom killed herself. Because her point of view is the demon's more powerful than her. Her point of view literally was God's the potter, she was the clay, and he decided to shape and mold her this way, and that was demise. That was mental illness. And she was like, and whereas other people got to get to the land of the milk and the honey and have wonderful lives. So her point of view, based on what she read, by the way, all right, was that he shaped and molded her to have a life of suffering. And so her point of view was hopelessness. She's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. Here's the problem with that. You're not out of here. You may have destroyed your body, but the being still needs to heal. She got the healing about a year ago because she used to come to me. My dreams have always been very prophetic. I would say that's like the one thing I could say, even before Access, I always had very, very prophetic dreams. My dreams, I caught ex-girlfriends cheating on me in my dreams, and they lived in Costa Rica and I was in Atlanta. And they literally didn't believe me. That's how it came to me. So it was like I had always something, but it was mainly in dreams. There were business arrangements where I would have a dream, and the dream's the guy would show up all evil, even though in real life we were good friends. But in the dream, he was evil. And what the dream was showing me was that don't let the way he presents himself to you fool you. If you go into business with him, there's something dark about this guy. So I just called him hey, thank you so much for the invitation. It's not going to work. I'm going to stay and practice myself. And 6 months later, he went out of business.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So anyway, so she used to come into my dreams, literally so it'll be year 11 actually this April. So the first 9 years, sick. And what that told me was a couple of things. Was she was really sick when she had her body, but that she was actually still sick. And then the last dream that I had about her, she was fucking glowing. She was beautiful. And I remember I called up Gary and about a bunch of things, but this was one of them. And I was just crying. And he goes, has she gone on to get a new body? And I'm like, I don't get that. And he goes, is she healed? And then I just started to weep. Because I'm like, yes. And what he said to me was this. He goes, did she heal because of your choice of doing access and using the tools? Because she also got the facilitation. And I just bawled. I lost it. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Because there were times like in an SOP class where her being would show up and she said to me literally, the tools that you're learning here from SOP, ESB, potting and pocking, the bars, the body processes, the entities tools, there's an energy to these tools that it's like, if you like, if you do access long enough, it's like, woo, right? And she's like, it can change. It matches the energy because when she was ill, there was an energy there that was like beyond this reality, okay? And nothing could help it, not even the meds that they put her on. There was an energy to it, right? And she showed me that the energy that we learn and we play with and access, it like matches the energy of that and it can melt it away. And then I just started to cry. So she showed me that, like, I don't even think I was an entities facilitator yet. And so that's why I say what I say. That's why, if I sound really fucking intense, woo, life's been intense, but it's like I have such extreme gratitude for these tools because as uncomfortable as they can be sometimes, they're fucking grand and fucking glorious and magical. And magical is not even the right word because to me, magic is like too simple. It's like something beyond that. When you think about creation, let's say, there's an energy of orgasm to that. You watch shows about how the universe is created. There's an orgasmic energy to that. It's chaos, but there's some order to it too. It's beautiful and it all happens automatically. There's a consciousness to it all. Okay? And that's what we're accessing with access. Talk to the entities is just another resource for us to access more, to ultimately make our lives easier, not more crazy, easier. But I was a type of person that needed everybody to like me. And the judgments that I get from like my daughter's parents from school, because my daughter's 13, she wants to fit in and all that stuff. And she's like, why can't we just be a normal family? And I looked at her and I'm like, your mother killed herself because she thought there was a demon inside of her and she didn't want you to have to be raised by that. What I'm learning here and what I'm doing provides the house that you live in where I couldn't do that as a chiropractor. We are happier and we have tools here because you may have children that may have bipolar, aka entity awareness symptoms, that you have these resources available to you to maybe save one of your children's lives. I said, so are you willing to allow yourself to be judged? Because people don't understand. The only thing that people understand is what is mainstream. Okay. And I try to show, I'm like, and I'm sorry, I know what it's like to be 13. I know my whole life, and I know what it's like to want to fit in. But thank God, because I get where she's coming from. And I would make choices in my life so that I would never be judged. No more. Because these orgasmic, and I don't mean sexual orgasm. Yeah, that's a part of it. But when I say orgasmic, I'm talking about the creation of fucking life and living that's beyond any of what you've decided are your problems. Any abuse you've ever had, any trauma and drama you've ever had. When you allow yourself to receive these energies, you function from a knowing that nobody else can ever take away from you. Ever.
I I don't think that you are too intense. I actually love the intensity with which you share this with us. It is truly a great invitation to this, and I love the way that you put it, playground of awareness, right?
Yeah.
That is,
Well, it's
that is great.
great movie on Netflix to watch. You all, season 1 of Haunting on Hill House. Haunting on Hill House. Great series to watch so you can understand what happens to people when they have entity awareness, but they don't have that playground to develop the tools. And where nowhere in this reality can they go and talk to people about it, because that's insane to have that awareness. So people become alcoholics or drug addicts, or end up having bipolar, borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, or insomnia, anxiety, whatever the case may be. And a lot of those things are mixed in with a lot of other shit. But it's like, watch that series. It's great, because I watched it the whole time, like, wow, that's part of what happened with my late wife. She had all this awareness. And let me share a really quick thing.
Yes.
When she was 17 years old and she had her first bipolar episode, so to speak, when she was in the manic phase, she saw microchips implanted in people's heads, and it freaked her out. She went psychotic, basically, okay? She told me about it when I met her. Like, she's like, I'm like, what did you experience? And she told me, like, all the things she was aware of. I'm like, wow, that's pretty far out. I get to talk to, it's not in the Talk to the Entities beginner's manual now, but it's in the older manual. Fast forward, I don't know, however many years, I'm reading Talk to Entities manual, and they're talking about this thing called glop and glom, where there's these things that are outside of you that can affect your sanity. And guess what one of them is? Microchips that have been implanted. What was she aware of? Now, had she been raised up, let's say, and talked to the entities, and then say she gets that awareness that she sees microchips in people's heads, she'll just go, oh, wow, they got microchips. No significance. But when you don't have that playground to develop those awarenesses, and you see it, you think you might be make it a little bit crazy. You think you might be like, what the fuck is going on? I'm seeing microchips. And you start losing your shit. You go into a fight or flight response. I couldn't believe it. She was aware. She was fucking aware. That's it.
Which is actually the first place that we go to make ourselves wrong, right?
Absolutely.
So I am different and I perceive different. So therefore I must be wrong. I must be crazy.
I'm crazy and fucked up.
Yeah. This is a very different point of view of talking to the entities class. And it's been a great invitation to me personally, surely to everyone who's listening now, who will listen later. We do have a class coming up. You have a class coming up in Puerto Vallarta at the beginning of April, right? 1 to 3 of April. And there's an intro and there's a beginnings class, which lasts 2 days. So if you want to listen to more of this, if you want to come and play in the playground of awareness, well, this might be your time. This might be your class.
Yeah, and you could take it online too. So if you can't make it live, you could do it online as well.
And if you make it live, then you'll be in Puerto Vallarta. So what a great invitation that is.
There's something magical about being live at the live classes too, because you're also dealing with the geology of the place, you know, and the original ancestors in those particular lands, wherever you are. There's just something magical about doing Access, like actually being at a live class with Access anywhere in the world. And when you're doing an entities class, you know, you are going to stir a lot of spirits because they're excited. They're like, yay, I get to get facilitated. Yes, they're going to be paying attention to me now. So, you know, they're going to want to come and play, and it's just a great opportunity to create possibilities.
Yes. So thank you so much for this conversation, for this invitation, Anthony, for this very different point of view of what entities and dealing with entities and receiving from entities is. I think that it really opened up a new space, a very different space, a space of possibilities.
Thank
That's
you,
something to be
Jesse.
grateful for. Thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
thank you,
My
Matt,
pleasure.
for the space.
Thank you, Matt.
Jesse, Dr. Anthony, thank you both for being on our show today. If any of you want to rewatch this, because there's so many bits in there, you've got to hear Dr. Anthony or Jesse say, because you just love her voice. Go to, do we have the link? Can we put that in the chat? Okay. All right. So we can do replays with this if you join our membership. And what do you get out of that membership? You'll find out if you join. You won't if you don't. Okay. So Anthony, love you, man.
Thank you.
Jesse, everyone else who joined today. Today's the beginning of, obviously, as you can see, something different. So, and if you need more information on anything about Dr. Anthony in the future, just contact me or anybody on the group, or you can find it on the accessmedia.live page, front page there. Okay. Bye, guys. Love you all.
Thank you.
Hope you talk to demons soon.
Great session, Matt, too. It was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Later, bro.
Gratitude.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jesse.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, translators.
Thanks, everybody. How does it get any better than that?